Hey everyone, welcome back to Podcast and Chill. I'm Leo.
And I'm Gwen.
Today we're diving into a topic we all know well.
What's that?
So, have you ever walked into a coffee shop, heard someone say, "How's it going?" and suddenly blanked on every English word you know?
Oh, that's English paralysis, Leo. It happens a lot to learners.
Hold that thought, Gwen, we'll get back to it.
Okay, but don't worry, it's not something that sticks around forever.
Exactly. We're here today to talk about why it happens and how to beat it.
Let's get into it.
So, Gwen, why does speaking English with native speakers sometimes feel like walking into a lion's den?
Do you feel that way?
I do when I speak Spanish. I totally get that fear of messing up.
You know, Leo, it's not all in your head, it's really about perfectionism.
Seriously?
Yep. There's a study from the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health that shows people who aim for perfection often feel more anxious in social situations.
Ah, I get it now. It's like setting the bar so high, then freaking out when you can't reach it.
That's right. And when you're already stressed, it's easy to start thinking things like, what if they don't understand me? Or what if I say something silly?
That's where the fear comes from.
And that fear? Totally normal.
But living with that fear won't help anyone get better at English.
That's why I say we need to make it part of the journey and just normalize it.
How do you usually normalize your fear?
I write down why I'm scared. What about you?
I just remind myself it's completely normal to be scared of something.
And how do you handle the fear of speaking with native speakers?
Oh, I used to practice in front of a mirror. I did that when I first started learning Spanish. A little weird, right?
Actually, that's a great idea. Practicing in front of a mirror helps take judgment out of the picture.
Yeah. No one's there to roll their eyes or correct you, so you can just focus on getting your words out and feeling comfortable.
Plus, it helps you get used to hearing your own voice in English. Once that feels normal, speaking to others becomes way easier.
I've got my mirror time down. What's next?
Next, we keep it simple. We should pick up a few go-to phrases to use anytime.
Like a cheat sheet for conversations? I'm all in. What kind of phrases?
Think about situations you run into a lot, like shopping, asking for directions, or ordering food. Try phrases like, "Excuse me, can you help me?" Or, "Can you say that again, please?"
Or what do you mean by that? That one's perfect when you're stuck but don't want to look clueless.
Exactly. These phrases are like your safety net.
So, I've got my phrases. Now I just need to practice. But honestly, talking to strangers still feels a bit scary.
And that feeling is totally valid.
What's the move here? What should I do?
Start small, Leo. You don't have to dive into a full conversation right away. Try recording yourself first.
Wait, like record my voice? Isn't that kind of awkward?
It might feel awkward at first, but trust me, it's super effective.
How's that effective?
When you listen to your recordings, you can catch your pronunciation errors or grammatical mistakes.
Hmm, I guess hearing my mistakes could help me fix them faster.
Next, we keep it simple. We should pick up a few go-to phrases to use anytime.
And how's that beneficial?
A study by Horwitz showed that doing something like recording yourself can actually cut down on speaking anxiety.
Seriously? How does that work?
Well, the more you practice speaking in a safe space, like on your own, the more confident you'll get.
That sounds like when I do rehearsals for my drama club.
Exactly. And by doing that, you'll be less nervous when it's time to speak with someone for real.
But I don't think that can compare to talking to real people.
That's the next step. Find someone you're comfortable talking to and practice with them.
Who? Where? You make it sound easy, but it's not.
It's closer than you think. You can join an English practice group, online or offline.
Where can I find such groups?
There are Facebook groups, apps, or even meetup events where you can practice with other learners. Everyone's in the same boat, so there's no pressure.
Sounds like they won't mind if I mess up.
Exactly, because they're probably making mistakes too.
It's time for some new words and phrases. First, walk into the lion's den. It means to go into a difficult or dangerous situation. For example, I had to walk into the lion's den during the meeting with the angry clients.
Second, set the bar high. It means to set a very high standard or expectation for something. For example, she set the bar high with her amazing presentation, and now we all have to do our best.
Third, freak out. It means to become very upset, anxious, or surprised. For example, he freaked out when he realized he lost his keys.
Fourth, roll one's eyes. It means to show annoyance or disbelief, usually by moving your eyes upward. For example, she rolled her eyes when her friend started talking about the same thing again.
Finally, in the same boat. It means to be in the same situation or facing the same problems as someone else. For example, we're all in the same boat with this project, so let's help each other out.
Leo, I have some questions for you.
What's that?
First, why do you think speaking with native speakers feels intimidating?
I think it's because of perfectionism. We're scared of making mistakes and not being understood.
That's a great point. Second, what's one way to prepare for speaking with native speakers?
I'd practice by recording myself speaking so I can catch mistakes and feel more confident.
Good idea. And listeners, how do you prepare to speak in English?
Share your tips with us in the comments below. What's the secret to sounding more natural?
One word: shadowing.
Shadowing? What is this? A spy movie?
Not exactly. It's when you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say right after they say it. You copy their words, pronunciation, and even their tone and rhythm.
Oh, like being a language parrot.
But it's more than just repeating.
Care to share more?
It trains your ears to pick up on how native speakers stress words, connect phrases, and use intonation.
Uh-huh.
Plus, it helps you practice speaking without overthinking grammar.
Okay, you sold me on that one. Where do I start?
Find a short video or podcast clip. YouTube channels like BBC Learning English or English Addict with Mr. Steve are great places to check out.
What if I sound terrible at first?
That's totally normal. Keep at it, and you'll improve over time. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress.
What else can we do to overcome the fear of speaking to native speakers?
Here's the next trick: simplify what you're saying.
What do you mean by that?
You don't need to use complicated words to sound smart, just make sure you're understood.
For example?
Instead of saying, I can't comprehend this, you could just say, I don't understand this. It's easier for both sides.
Yeah, that sentence is simple, clear, and to the point.
Exactly. You don't need to impress anyone with big words. In fact, the simpler, the better.
But some people might not know which sentences are simple or at their level.
We can use bilingual dictionaries or apps like LingQ to find words and phrases that match your level.
I see. So we learn new words, but in a way that's comfortable for us. What if I don't catch something when I'm talking to a native speaker?
You can ask for clarification.
What if they speak too fast?
In that case, you can say, can you say that slower, please? Or, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
And if I don't get a word,
You could just say, what does that mean?
but don't want to mess up by asking them to repeat themselves too much?
When you do that, it actually shows you're trying to get it right and learn.
But I feel like I'll drive them crazy if I keep asking.
Not at all. Native speakers are used to people asking questions. Just be polite.
Gwen, some of our listeners say they sometimes feel overwhelmed trying to speak English all the time. Any tips on how to make it easier?
Start by setting small, achievable goals.
How small are we talking about?
For example, aim to speak one sentence in English each day. It doesn't have to be a big conversation.
So, something like asking for directions in English?
Exactly. You can start with something simple like, excuse me, where's the nearest bus stop? It's a small goal, but it gets you practicing.
I like that. What about if I have a longer conversation?
Try aiming for just 2 to 3 minutes of speaking. That's doable, right?
That sounds good. And should I keep track of my progress?
Yes, absolutely. Recognize your successes, no matter how small.
I love celebrating the little wins. They always keep me motivated.
And you can use apps like Duolingo to practice quick responses and build your speaking reflexes.
Oh, I really should do that to level up my Spanish.
That's the spirit. You're going to crush it, Leo.
And so are our audience. Am I right? All right, Gwen, let's practice some more useful phrases today. First, pick up on. It means to notice or understand something, often something subtle. For example, she picked up on his nervousness during the interview.
Second, sell somebody on something. It means to convince someone to support or believe in an idea or product. For example, he tried to sell me on the idea of investing in the new startup.
Third, mess up. It means to make a mistake or do something incorrectly. For example, I messed up my presentation by forgetting the main points.
Fourth, drive somebody crazy. It means to make someone feel frustrated or annoyed. For example, the constant noise outside is driving me crazy.
Finally, level up. It means to improve or advance to a higher level, usually in skills or abilities. For example, after weeks of practice, she finally leveled up her guitar playing.
Now let's discuss two questions about our topic. The first question is, what's one way to sound more natural when speaking?
I think shadowing is a great way to practice. Repeating what native speakers say helps you get their rhythm and tone.
That's right. And the second question is, if you don't catch something when speaking with a native speaker, what can you do?
I just ask them to repeat it or say, "Can you say that slower, please?"
What will you do in such situations?
Share your thoughts in the comments below. All right, Gwen, this was really helpful today. We've shared many solid tips with our listeners to help them improve their English speaking.
I'm glad to hear that, Leo. To wrap things up, remember, learning a language is about progress, not perfection.
The more you push yourself to speak, even with small steps, the more confident you'll become.
Guys, just keep practicing, and before you know it, speaking English will feel like second nature.
What are your favorite tips for overcoming the fear of speaking English to natives?
Let us know in the comments below.
See you next time. Keep up the great work.